So, on the beginning I will show you what kinds of stitches we're gonna use today. That's gonna be a very easy project. Actually, it takes 2-3 hours. So on the beginning just a small sample, and we're gonna start with a 20 change chain. So grab the yarn, grab your hook, and let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. Yes, and very important information, your chain cannot be twisted. Make a double check before you'll join first and the last stitch, because yeah, that's very important. It should be straight, your chain should be straight. So if everything's okay, into the first stitch, and as you can see you've got 2 loops on a hook, and through these 2 loops. Yeah, and now we're gonna start the next row. In the next row I will use half double crochet stitches. So chain 1, loop on a hook, into the next stitch. You've got 3 loops on a hook, and through all these 3 loops. Yes, loop on a hook, into the next stitch, grab the yarn, you've got 3 loops, yeah, and through all these 3 loops. Loop on a hook, into the next stitch, and through all these 3 loops. Loop on a hook, into the next stitch, grab the yarn, you've got 3 loops, and through all these 3. And that way to the end of the row. So just a few more half double crochet stitches, 1 more, and we're gonna finish in that row. Yeah, you can find the first stitch in that row, and through the first stitch. As you can see, it's 2 loops, right? And this one is third, so grab the yarn and through all these 3 loops. And that was our row. Now we're gonna start the next row, and the problem is I have no idea how to call this type of stitches. If any of you know what kind of stitches these are, please let me know. Let's call them now no-name stitches. And yeah, I don't know how to call it. So that's gonna be our row with a no-name stitches now. So let's start with a 3 change chain, then we're gonna start in the first stitch in here, loop on a hook, you've got 3 change chain, loop on a hook, and then into the first stitch. Now we've got 3 loops on a hook, through 2, and again loop on a hook, into the same stitch, grab the yarn. Now we've got 4 loops on a hook, and through 2, through 2, and through 2, right? And the chain 1. Yeah, loop on a hook, we're gonna skip the next stitch. We're gonna start in the second one. Yeah, through 2, loop on a hook, into the same stitch, through 2, through 2, through 2, and chain 1. Yeah, and again, loop on a hook. We're gonna skip next stitch. We're gonna start in the second one. Grab the yarn, through 2, loop on a hook, into the same stitch, grab the yarn, through 2, through 2, through 2, and chain 1. Yeah, it's gonna be something like this. And that way to the end of the row. And we've got something like this. We're ending that row. So if you want to find the first stitch, we just need to pull this chain. You can find it. It's huge stitch, so it's easy to find. And through all 3 loops. Yeah, and that was the last stitch in that row. We're gonna start a second row, so 3 chain, and this time we're gonna use the same type of stitches, but we're gonna use this space between our stitches. So loop on a hook in that hole, yeah, through 2, loop on a hook into the same, through 2, through 2, through 2, and chain 1. Okay, loop on a hook in the next hole, right, through 2, loop on a hook into the same, through 2, through 2, through 2, and chain 1. Loop on a hook in the next hole, through 2, loop, grab the yarn, through 2, through 2, through 2, and chain 1. And that way to the end of the row. So now we're gonna make our Snood scarf. It's a little bit cold outside, so it's good to make something warm. And what do we need? I've got 2 skeins of that mohair. It's cotton mohair. On the label there's information that we should use knitting needles size 8, but there is no information about the crochet hook size. But I thought it's gonna be good to use 7mm crochet hook. We will see. We're gonna start with the chain, and this time working yarn on a bottom, ending on a front, loop on the right side, put it here, and through the loop, just pull. Not too tight, because it's mohair. So we're gonna start with a chain. I'm not quite sure how many stitches we should make, so we'll see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. Let's see. I think we can make 10 more stitches. So that's gonna be 71, 72, 73, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. That's 80 chain, and I think it's gonna be enough. So remember, our chain cannot be twisted, so let's just check everything. Yeah, like this. And into the first stitch. Yeah, grab the yarn and through 2 loops. Yeah, and that was our first row. Now we're gonna make whole row using that half double crochet. So chain 1, loop on a hook, into the next stitch, yeah, grab the yarn, we've got 3 loops on a hook, and through all 3 loops, right? Loop on a hook, into the next stitch, grab the yarn, and through all these 3 loops. And again loop, into the next stitch, grab the yarn, you've got 3 loops on a hook, and through all these 3. Okay, loop, into the next stitch, grab this yarn, and through all these 3 loops. Yeah, like this. Loop, into the next stitch, grab the yarn, and through all these 3 loops. And that way to the end of the row. So just a few more stitches through all 3, loop on a hook into the next stitch. Yes, one more, and the last one. Yes, now we can finish that row. So you have to find the first stitch through these 2 loops on the top and grab the yarn through all 3 loops on a hook. It looks like this. And now we're gonna start the next row with our no-name stitches. So I need more yarn. And we're gonna start with a 3 chains chain. And let's start 1, 2, 3. Right? In the first stitch we're gonna start, loop on a hook into that first stitch, grab the yarn and through 2. And again loop on the hook into the same stitch, grab the yarn, through 2, through 2, and through 2, and on the end we need to make chain 1 like this, and loop on a hook. We're gonna skip next stitch, we're gonna start in the second one. Into that stitch, grab the yarn, through 2, loop on a hook into that stitch, and through 2, through 2, and through 2, and of course don't forget chain 1. Loop on a hook. We're gonna skip next stitch, we're gonna start in a second one, into that stitch, through 2, loop on a hook, into the same stitch, grab the yarn, through 2, through 2, through 2, yeah, and chain 1. Okay, loop on a hook, into the, we're gonna skip the first stitch, we're gonna start in the second one, loop on a hook into that stitch, through 2, loop into the same stitch, through 2, through 2, through 2, and chain 1. And that way to the end of the row. So we're gonna finish that row soon. So chain 1, loop on a hook, we're skipping next stitch, we're gonna start in the second one, through 2, loop on a hook into the same stitch, through 2, through 2, through 2, chain 1. Yeah, loop, we're skipping next, we're gonna start in the second one, through 2, loop into the same stitch, through 2, through 2, through 2, and chain 1. And again loop, we're skipping next stitch, through 2, loop on a hook into the same stitch, through 2, through 2, through 2, and chain 1. Now we need to find our first stitch in that row and just pull a little bit this first chain, and you can find it very easy. Yes, and through all these 3 loops. Okay, that way. Now 1, 2, 3, chain, yeah, loop on a hook, and we're gonna use this space between these two parts, right? Grab the yarn, through 2, loop on a hook, into the same, through 2, through 2, through 2, okay, and chain 1, loop on a hook, in the middle, grab the yarn, through 2, loop, through 2, through 2, through 2, and chain 1, yeah, loop on a hook in the next, through 2, loop, in the same, through 2, through 2, through 2, and chain 1, loop in the next, through 2, through 2, oh wait a sec, yeah, through 2, and chain 1, loop in the next hole, through 2, loop on a hook, through 2, through 2, through 2, and chain 1, yeah, that's gonna be our second row with these no-name stitches. As you can see, I've almost finished that row. And I will show you one more time slowly how to end that row and how to start the next one. Come on. Chain and in the middle. Through 2, chain 1, and then into, see, if you pull this one, you can see that first stitch. It's huge. It's easy to see this one, so just as you can see, wait a sec, you got one loop on a hook into that first stitch. Now we've got 3 loops, right? Grab the yarn and through all the stitches, and this is it. Yeah, now 3 chain, okay, we need more yarn, okay, got 3 chain, loop on a hook, and into that first big hole, yes, into, grab the yarn, through these 2, now we've got 2 loops on a hook, loop into the same, through 2, then through 2, oh, sorry, and through 2, chain 1, and again loop on a hook between, yeah, through 2, loop on a hook, through 2, through 2, through 2, and chain 1, loop on a hook, and here, right, through 2, loop on a hook, into the same, and through 2, through 2, through 2, chain 1, okay, and that way to the end of the row. So we're gonna finishing soon. That was row number 20, but it was 19th row with this no name stitches. As you remember, on the beginning there was 80 chain, then half double crochet and 19 rows with this no name stitches. Now we're gonna make this one row using half double crochet stitches again, and we're gonna make one, maybe two chain, whatever actually, and then loop on a hook into the first stitch, through the loop and through 3 loops on a hook, right? Loop on a hook. Now we have to use that space between our stitches and through all these 3. Loop on a hook now into the stitch, through all these 3 loops, loop on a hook, and again in the middle, grab the yarn through all these 3, now loop on a hook into the stitch, through all 3, loop on a hook in the middle, through all 3, and that way to the end of the row. Yeah, and we are finishing, and we have to find the first stitch, so through 2 loops on the top, as you can see, yes, one and the second one, and through all these 3 loops, right? And now the last row, we're gonna use just single crochet stitches, and that's gonna be it actually. So chain 1 and into the first stitch, through 2 into the next, through 2 in the next one, through 2 in the next, through 2 in the next one, through, yeah, and through 2, and that way to the end of the row, and that's just single crochet stitches. So 2 more stitches, and last one, right, into the first stitch, through these 2 loops on the top, as you can see, grab the yarn and through all 3 loops. Yeah, this is it. You can finish right now. Just cut your string and pull, right? This is it. That's our snood. So from the beginning we've made 80 chain, then 1 row with a half double crochet stitches, then 19 rows with these no name stitches, yeah, and on the end again 1 row with the half double crochet stitches and the last one with a single crochet stitches. Now we can hide our endings and knots. It's actually very easy. I've got a knitting needle, maybe little one, yeah. And let's find this first ending. Yes, and we're gonna hide these strings. That way, just between stitches, and actually this is it, right? Stretch a little bit and it's somewhere inside. Now the other side, this one is longer, yeah. We can hide it somehow, doesn't matter actually. Yeah. What has happened? It's fine. Just need a... okay. So, between stitches and okay, we can cut it and stretch a little bit. So, this is it. Thank you for watching. See you next time.